The foolish man learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from mistakes of others.
Welcome back to Revenue Remix. I am your host, Summer Poletti, founder and CRO at Rise of Us, where I help people plan for and achieve their next level of growth. And with me again is one of my co-conspirators, Dave Lee, founder of Do What Works, AI Shortlist Architect, and fractional CMO. Hello, Dave. Welcome
Hey, great to
back.
be here.
Yay. Okay. So for anybody wondering how you get on the VIP list is we talk frequently and then we have a conversation where I'm like, wow, this is a great lesson for the audience. And then I invite you in and then here we are. So that's why Dave's back on the show. So a little bit of context here. Dave and I were talking about sales hiring after the recent mini panel with Sean and JMS. And we decided to do a part 2 on that because there's a lot of nuances when it comes to hiring your first salesperson. And there were some things that, with the constraints of time, we weren't really able to get into in that episode. So we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive here. We're going to share a couple horror stories and also give you actionable advice on what to do instead. The last one we talked about the mistakes of maybe hiring too soon in sales and what can happen as a result, but we did not have time to talk about what to do instead. So we'll do that today. All right, Dave, let's get started. You're here because you were brave enough to tell a horror story on camera. So why don't we start with that?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things of, the the foolish man learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from mistakes of others. So to your audience, Summer, take my mistakes and learn from them, because had I known what I know now,
Yeah.
yeah, I would be much wiser.
Yeah. I think you just called me a fool, but continue.
No, I think I'm the fool. They're really naive fools. So there's two stories that I kind of want to tell, and feel free to interrupt and let's discuss what's going on. The first one is when I owned an agency, and this was probably back in 2016, 2017. I was growing my agency, and as an agency owner, I had a team, staff. We were implementing, we were doing our inbound marketing stuff, and I said, you know what? In order to grow my company, I need more sales. I mean, come on, everyone
Yes,
needs more
I
sales,
hear that all day, every day.
right? So if I
Ready to
take
grow my company, I'm going to hire sales.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
That makes
I
you
can't,
normal.
I can't do it all, and I'm not a salesperson by trade or education. So do what outsource and find people who are do things better than you, right? So I mean, it all makes sense academically and by the book. So I
It
went out
does.
and I hired a business development rep, and this person was part time. It was my first hire sales. Did I go through an agency? I think I had him vetted by my HR hiring agency, because they do some background checks and all that kind of stuff.
You
And I
did all the
hired him
smart,
in as
responsible stuff.
yep, and I hired him in as a W-2 because I'm here in California, and you must hire W-2s and not independent contractors. So, but back then I'm just like, yes, I just need more sales. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a salesperson to get me more sales. Whatever process, whatever things you do, whatever, just bring
Yeah.
in more sales. I'm going to
Do
measure
your
you by
sales thing.
but yeah, do your sales thing. I'm going to measure you by the outcome, by the net revenue that, the new revenue that you bring in. So, okay. I think we lasted maybe three weeks or 4 weeks when, and he was mostly commission based. So I paid part
Mm.
like minimum wage, and then he was comped on bringing in new business. And in those 3 weeks, I'm like, dude, where are the leads? What are you doing? And we weren't tracking it in a CRM. I just wasn't seeing anything crossing my desk of like, you're supposed to go out and get some leads for the company. I don't see any after 3 weeks. What's going on? Yeah, he wasn't selling. And that's when, thankfully, I found out earlier in the process, maybe only 3 weeks. I don't know if that's early, but 3
That
weeks.
is early.
And then we parted ways.
Seen 18 to 24 months.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because especially in SaaS, it takes that long to sell something. And so I've seen managers or owners like give a lot of rope because they're like, well, I can't fire them yet because how can they possibly have closed yet? So yeah, I've seen people make significantly more expensive mistakes. If
Yeah, I
that
think part of
helps.
it's also due to there's like I forgot what the time frame is in California, the no fault hire, you can let someone go at I don't know what the
Yes,
time period was.
it's 90 days.
90 days.
And the reason why I know that is my onboarding program is specifically designed to know before 90 days, even if you're in SaaS and have that 24-month sales cycle, because I got burned when I was a VP of sales. Yeah. So that's another show where we might want to talk about onboarding. But yeah, so you kind of have to know pretty soon, what do the success signals look like? It kind of sounds like you had been, owner-led. Oh God, we don't have time to get into this. Like owner-led sales is almost a magical thing because everybody wants to talk to the owner. The owner knows what's up. And then you delegate out the initial trust building or the entire sales cycle to an employee and a new employee at that. And it's a completely different dynamic. Like, you probably had not a ton of trouble scheduling calls and meeting people and talking to them. But then like Joe the sales guy, nobody wants to talk to Joe the sales guy. So it's just harder for them to get folks on the phone. It's harder to gain trust. Unfortunately, there's a natural just distrust of sales folks in general. So yeah.
And I guess I was lucky somewhere because, the 3 or 4 weeks, I didn't
Yeah.
expect to close something, but I'm like, so who have you talked to? Right? Who have you called? I started to ask these
Hmm.
kind of questions because
Hmm.
somewhere in the back of my mind, my spidey senses were tingling like, am I paying? And we're all remote. And so I'm like, am I paying this guy? And what is he doing? Is he sitting on the beach? And it
California.
just, so I started asking those questions. And then as I got back some vague answers, that was some of the things I'm like, oh, I should have probably put in place some metrics to track, like number of calls, some activity stuff. Right.
Yeah. What
And
success looks like.
I
Yeah.
also kind of
Early
realized,
success
and this is more
signals.
after the fact, after we parted ways, I did a mental recap of like, gosh, what happened? What did I do wrong here?
Mm.
And I think part of it also was, and had I known you, you probably would have been kicking me to the curb. Like I didn't really have any onboarding. I'm like, dude, so take a look at the website. Ask me some questions. You know what we do? We do web design. We do HubSpot inbound marketing. You know what that is, right, dude? Okay, go and find me people. You have this contact. You have your contacts. You know how to sell.
Yeah.
It's a black box to me.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Onboarding, right?
Yes. So I'm going to put a pin in that and we'll talk about that if we have enough time. But I do want to dispel a myth. And a lot of people have it. It's a commonly held myth like the gum stays in your stomach for 7 years. I hire somebody with a good network and they will come. They don't come. It's so much more nuanced than that. Does their network fit your ICP?
Right.
Does their network have problems that you can solve better than whoever's solving them right now? And yeah, I think a well-connected salesperson will get introductory meetings because people are going to be curious about what they're doing now. They might do it to be nice, but unless there's a real solid, well-defined differentiator and business need, it doesn't go past that initial call. So the network never converts the way that you want to. It just
So if I were to ask you, Summer, like, let's roll back the clock to 2016 or 2017, and I just met
yes.
you, and I just told you this
Yes.
horror story. I mean, what would you tell me that I should have done differently? I
I
think that
love that question. And by the way, that's one of my signature programs. I won't go too far into that. But yes, I get this question a lot. And I actually have an inventory list where I'm like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? So it's a whole big long thing and we build it soup to nuts and then you have a program. But at a bare minimum, I want to know, do you have it doesn't have to be a defined marketing ideal client profile or client persona or something like that, but do you have a defined target? Because if you tell a salesperson, go talk to anybody, all businesses in the United States, you would think they would like that. But it causes like, I can call anybody. Well, crap, who do I call? And then they kind of spin out and they spend a lot of time building lists and thinking about who to call. Like they
Mhm.
really need focus. Um, and so do you have a defined like who they should be calling? And similarly, do you have a defined like here's who refers to us and why they should refer to us? Do you have a what you do that's different and better than your competitor? And do you have, and this is really important, like how you win against those competitors? So I look for defined competitor, partner, and ideal client in whatever way somebody might describe
Mhm.
it. And you'd be surprised how many people don't, or maybe you wouldn't because you're in marketing. People don't have that. So that's one, like targets. And then another is like, do you have a repeatable sales process? And I've got spin selling right here. It doesn't have to be spin or medic or whatever, but it should be something because they need to know what they do after they get somebody on the phone so that they don't just vomit up all the details that the person can find on your website.
Mhm.
Do you have, I want to know, do you have some marketing materials or some sort of collateral that speaks to different questions that people have to kind of help the buyer make their decision? And, it sounds cheesy. Is there any sort of playbook? The playbook helps them during their onboarding, but it also helps them when they have questions later on. So those are some of the basics that I look for. And two, an extension of the sales process, is there somewhere where these things can be tracked so that the metrics can be measured and improved upon? You could get a CRM for free or fairly cheap. Even an Excel spreadsheet would be better because sometimes like what I see is it's all up in the owner's head. So those are some of the basics.
Yeah, and Summer, if I were to talk with you 10 years ago, I would have answered the question of, yes, I have all of those. But the problem is, like you just said, it's all
Is
up
it
here.
documented?
It's not documented, right? Of course, I have an ICP. Of course, I have a sales process. It's all
Yeah.
up here because that's
Yeah.
how I built my business. Of course, I have it. But I have not gone through the task of documenting that so someone else can pick it up and start running with it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Exactly. The
imagine,
knowledge isn't transferable for sure.
yeah.
And then I'll ask this because I already know the answer. Owners are generally really good at closing business when they get a genuinely interested lead on the phone.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's they buy right now. But then what happens 10 years ago? What happened if they didn't buy today? Did they get followed up? Did they go anywhere? Like what happened next? Was there follow-up steps if it was multiple calls and they hadn't made their decision yet? Like, what happened after the first call if they weren't like, "Oh my god, yes, let's do this."
Right. So that leads into my second horror story.
Woo.
My first horror story is I try to hire a salesperson, black box, just go forth and get me new customers.
Mhm.
And then I realized, oh, I need to have the documented ICP. I need to have a target
Yeah.
audience list. I need to have key
Yep.
metrics that need to be tracked. So I talked with another sales consultant, not you. And then we said, you know what would be really good is if I hired a virtual BDR that would take the list of companies. So I had like a targeted list of companies, manufacturing companies that I wanted to chase. So I had a lot of good stuff. I had the collateral, I had my ICP, the value proposition, the metrics that I want to track, and this virtual BDR company said, yes, we can do all that. And they had a nice portal where I can track these are the calls they made, and I can track activities. So that kind of made me feel better of like, oh, I wasn't tracking the activities before, but now we are tracking them. And here's my list, and they can make these calls. I spent a lot of money, nothing closed. And in this case, it was because of what you just said. They did everything they were supposed to do. So they dialed, they got past the gatekeeper, they got to the person we needed to talk to, they got me scheduled for a call. Like you said, they weren't ready to buy now,
Mm.
and they kind of just dropped off my radar because I didn't have a process of like follow because
Say you didn't have a sales
I just
process.
thought it was, again, naive, right? I just didn't have a process to follow up. So that was the second
Yeah.
lesson. And the second horror
Ouch.
story is that
Mhm.
you can have the processes up front, getting the calls, tracking the KPIs. But to your point, what happens if they're not ready to buy now? What do you do? I do not have that answer. And that was an expensive lesson to learn.
Ouch. Yeah, because on paper you did what seemed like you fixed the problem. It's funny that you mentioned that because sometimes you probably, since you're working in marketing, sometimes you'll probably get the same intro call that I do. I need more leads. I'm talking to you because I need to grow and I need more leads. I didn't know this conversation was going to lead this way. That's why this is fun when we're doing it unscripted. I need more leads. And I'm like, okay, what's going to happen to them when they do get generated? So a lot of my marketing partners that will work with me will bring me in because they're like, well, I know that I can run a solid demand gen program and get you leads, but I'm going to look bad if they don't close. So what's your sales process look like?
That's right.
So yeah, let's talk about a very basic sales process. I go generic. Intro, call, and qualify. I am all about ruthless qualifying. And the reason why I want it ruthless is because, especially if the owner is still involved in sales, be they the closer or be they the manager, or even if it's one salesperson that's doing all the lift, we cannot be wasting time on looky-loos, right?
That's right.
So we're going to ruthlessly qualify so that we are not doing demos and proposals for people who really had no buying need. And they're just kind of kicking tires or looking at what's out there, what have you. So I want to know, first of all, is there a problem that someone cares about enough to spend time or money fixing it? And this is what I call objection proofing. Do you know the impact of the problem? And it needs to be money or something personal. I'm not making as much money as I could. I'm worried about my personal investment in the business. Or since I do all the things, I'm here every weekend and my wife's, threatening to padlock the doors. Like it has to be personal or business, right? And you need to know their time frame. Like, is this something that you're looking at for next year? Are you looking to see what else is out there? Or is this like a no, I have to solve this right now? You have to know who is involved in the decision. Even if it's an owner-led company, they might have a key employee, they might have a spouse or significant other, they might talk to their dad. Like, who else is involved in influencing the decision? Their
That's right.
Vistage chair, I don't know, right? You have to know who else is involved in that decision and what they care about. And then the other one, so it's, do they have a problem? Do they have resources? Who makes the decision? When are they making a decision? And then the other one's a little tricky. And this is like, are they willing to schedule something on the calendar, both calendars, like an actual real defined follow-up? And that's where I see most processes fall apart and it sounds great, right? Have you ever had this call? Oh my gosh, this sounds great. We're going to look this over. Why don't you call me back in 2 weeks? Not a deal. So, okay, great. Get out your calendar so we don't chase each other. You got to have that on both calendars because that's how you protect yourself from getting ghosted. So there's my simple sales process. If you can install that, you got to track it in your CRM so that you know where deals are falling off, because then like, oh, where we need to tighten up our pricing conversation or, what have you. But that simple process that somebody can follow all the time.
Hmm.
And that like in my world, all those things have to be in place before you do the demo or before you give a proposal. Because those things all take time. Like you got to make somebody earn your time, right? So there's my ruthless qualification, Dave.
No, it's solid. And as I look back, I think if people were to ask me like, what are the downfalls of hiring a salesperson, right? Or hiring a virtual BDR. And it comes down to like, you need to make sure you track activity. And then you need to make sure you have, there's many things, right? An onboarding process. And you need to have a process from a sales side. So we need to get into contact with the person, like from a marketing. So I'm going to use the old inbound. Once marketing hands you that MQL, what does a
What do you
sales
do with
team
it?
do with that? And you have to have that documented. You have to take the time to actually document that in your CRM.
You do.
I am guilty of not documenting in my own CRM, and it comes to bite me in the butt every single time. So, fellow business owners, if you are doing your own sales, please spreadsheet, CRM, whatever it is, just document where people are falling in your sales process, in your deal stages.
Yeah. And then something else I will add, like, you mentioned MQLs. What I will leave here is that there has to be some sort of way that the salesperson can generate leads. And you can't have it all in one bucket anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I am going to talk a little bit about MQLs. It's just that in COVID and because of inbound, I think we've all been accustomed that all leads flow from marketing through an MQL. And
Yes.
with AI and authenticity,
Mm,
I don't think that's normally the case. I don't know if
it's not.
like I said, that's a separate topic. But when you
It's
talked about that, Summer, I'm just like, yeah, your salespeople actually have to go out and network and sell
yes.
too. They just can't be order takers. Maybe you can talk a difference
Yes.
between like a hunter and a farmer. To use my old sales analogy.
It's funny that you mention that, and I love when I disagree with somebody, so this is gonna be fun. What I hear a lot from owners is, "Well, I'm not gonna do marketing. They just need to get out there and make some calls." Like, they're looking for that rainmaker type of
Yeah,
salesperson, and
yeah,
so you and I are probably talking to different people in different mindsets because you're talking to people that are looking for marketing to generate leads, and I'm talking to people who are looking for sales to generate leads, but more often, I'm seeing the opposite. And then I'm kinda scratching my head going, "Okay, they're gonna go call somebody, and usually they need to send them some stuff." Like, where's the stuff? Somewhere in the middle is the perfect lead gen for today, and it certainly isn't also relying on dial for dollars.
yeah.
It's just not.
Multiple channels, I think. So hopefully my horror stories of my two mistakes helps
Those are
people
fun.
avoid making those same mistakes of
Mhm,
one, thinking that you can just hand everything over without having a process to your sales
mhm,
team
mhm.
and not having metrics to track, or thinking that you can just hire people to call and then I'm a closer and not have a process of what to do when someone is not ready to be closed yet. I mean, those are my two big takeaways when I look back at what I did wrong and how I do things differently.
Yeah, and that's something where, where I can take this is what I tell people that they can do is sometimes like, let's not put sales in right now. Let's get you ready. Let's get that machine chugging so that when you bring a salesperson in, they're coming into an already revving engine.
Yeah.
And one of the things I look for is an ongoing nurture of the people who didn't buy yet,
Yeah.
because you said it. They buy now, that's great. If they don't, what happens? A lot of
Yeah.
times they kind of fall through the cracks because the owner just doesn't have time. And so what I look for is just let's set up an email nurture program within whatever CRM you have and provide some sort of value forward, value first content on a regular basis so that your stay in mind, like when they have that problem, you make it onto the short list. I think you tell us that when somebody starts looking for a provider, like a certain percentage of them already have somebody in mind.
Hmm.
And so this is how you're part of that little automatic short list. Email marketing doesn't work like it used to. You can't send out an email and get a lead. But when you have the lead who's not ready to buy yet, and you put them into some sort of a valuable nurture, and it's not buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It
That's
is
right.
is providing little nuggets of wisdom from your universe that could be helpful to them. And then at some point in time, they buy. That's the one thing that as an owner led org, I do decently is the continuing nurture. And I have to say, I'll go on record saying this, it is my best converting marketing channel because the list is people that I know who we've talked to, and then they just get stuff from me. And usually, when they enter into a buying related conversation, it is from a stuff I sent them. It'll be like something clicked, and they're like, "Oh my god, okay, I need this now."
That's right.
Um, so I will tell people to optimize that before they bring in a salesperson and then get partners in order. and light structure to a referral or partner program. And those couple of things can help you get more out of the resources you have right now and then set yourself up to where like a salesperson makes a little bit more sense
Yeah.
down the road.
I mean, if I had to like bubble it up to the top level, but when you hire in a salesperson, it's kind of like training for a marathon. You can't just throw them into the marathon. You have to have kind of some of your, not all, you don't have to be pixel perfect, but you have to have some of your ducks in a row.
You do.
And I think one of the challenges that I had, 10 years ago is I thought, oh, I can just throw an experienced person at it and they can go ahead and run. Knowing what I know now, it's more like I need to bring in a sales consultant to help me make sure that the table is set before I set that salesperson loose and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of prep work that has to be done. And I'll tell you, I don't think it's, if you're outsourcing sales, that means you don't like the sales process. And that's not your forte, right? It certainly is not mine. And it's something that it's very difficult to do on your own because you still have it all up here. You need someone to help you through that process to get that knowledge out of your head, the ICP, the sales process, the value prop, why buy from you. And you need to give the salesperson some type of, prep work. And I guess that's the other lesson to learn before you start pulling in and start spending money on a salesperson or a BDR virtual, whatever. Get your processes somewhat in alignment and documented. Else
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
going to come
I
bite you.
agree. And then I'll add what I'm also looking for is some sort of marketing engine because when you have the follow up, be it email nurture or be it calling, I think you need a little bit of both. If all you're saying is, hi, I'm following up.
Yeah.
Hi, me again.
Just
Reminds
checking.
me, I'm this generation. Like, remember Pee Wee Herman? Me
Hmm.
again. Like, no, hi, just following up. Hi, just checking in. But if you have a little nugget of wisdom, it doesn't have to be case studies or whatever. It should be something. And the marketing team can help come up with the somethings
Yes.
that give valuable insights that the prospect can use to help gain trust so that it's not just, hi, I'm following up.
Yeah. And that's a
That gets
great point.
boring after a while.
So from a marketing perspective, this is where I think marketing and sales can be interacting a lot closer because what marketing should be able to do is give the salespeople that value added content, whether it's on
Hmm.
the website or a case
Hmm.
study. And the process is you send that through your email campaign, you send that to them, and then the salesperson then has a reason to follow up and say,
Yes.
"Hey Jack, I sent you that email regarding whatever. Did you have a chance to read it? I'd love to discuss it with you." So it's a conversation
Yes.
starter, a
Yes.
conversation continuation, as opposed to the, "Hey, just checking in."
Yeah, and you
It's very
can't have a
awkward.
quarter end or month end sale every month. Like, people can sniff through that. It doesn't build trust. I remembered a stat. It is, so according to Gartner now, it's like 24 touches are required. You can't say hi following up 24 times. You just can't.
And like I said, that's where marketing and sales can start working together because marketing isn't just in charge of generating leads. We're here really to help sales close
Yeah,
and
yeah,
give sales the content they need to
yeah,
have those conversation continuations or starters or whatever.
yep.
That's what marketing is really good at doing, is telling those stories.
Yes, it is my favorite sales enablement tool.
Yes. Yes, to put a marketing term on it. Yes, that is sales
Yes.
enablement. I was trying not to say that into
Sorry.
industry jargon. No, it's good. It's good.
I know, I try to stay away from jargon. So what I mean by that is stuff that helps the sales close deals. That's what marketing's good at. So why don't we sum this up? Tell us two bad things that can happen if you hire sales too soon. We'll hammer that home.
So, from my experience, a couple things can happen when you hire sales too soon. One is that you waste a lot of time and money. I mean, you thought you're going to hire a salesperson to save you time and money, but in California, hiring a person is a decent amount of HR and legal work. And if you hire the wrong salesperson or don't have your processes in place and all the metrics and ICP, all the stuff that we talked about, that's going to be a complete waste of money because that salesperson, you're kind of setting them up to fail.
Yeah.
And
Unintentionally. Yeah.
unintentionally, right?
Yeah.
No one no one goes through that much process and heartache to fail on purpose, but you are setting them up to fail if you don't have all that in place. The second thing is, as an owner, you burn a lot of emotional capital, right? You put your heart and soul into the company. You want to see it grow, and you're banking a lot of expectations on the salesperson being a magical Wizard of Oz when you're not really giving them the tools and the processes and the information needed to succeed. And it takes a toll on you. It makes you question everything that you're doing. And had I just done more prep work, I could have avoided a lot of that. So
Yeah.
time
It
and
makes
money.
you feel weird because what I
Yeah,
hear is, well, sales didn't work for me. It makes you feel weird and like you failed at the thing that everybody else seems to succeed at. Yes.
right.
So then what does good look like now that you learned those hard lessons?
So funny enough, good looks like um it's a derivative of what I did in the past. Good means bringing in someone not to do the sales, not to make the calls. Good means bringing in someone experienced to help make sure that I'm successful in bringing in that person to do it. So good is being, I don't want to be a Boy Scout here, but it's kind of like be prepared, right? Good to me is being prepared and having those things in place. And since I'm not a salesperson, I'm a marketing person. I can talk to you all day about marketing stuff. When it comes to sales processes and CRMs and deal tracking, you need to bring in someone who has done this multiple times before. So bring in a consultant, bring in help to help you set the stuff up, not to do it, but to set it up.
Yeah.
That's what good looks like to me, is having that process in place.
Yeah. And then from the sales consultant, what you should have them set you up is a sales strategy, a sales process, a CRM, target defined, and some sort of content engine that they can use for their nurturing. I think those things in place can set yourself up for having your first sales hire stick.
Yeah,
It can
and be
happen.
successful.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. So, thank you for sharing and being willing to be vulnerable on camera. Not everybody's willing to do that. The mistakes that you personally made. And I think that this was a good, at least a good conversation about how to learn the hard way what you need to do. And then through that, somebody can now learn the lesson the easy way and just listen. So I'm going to link Dave in the show notes so that you can find him. And for those of you listening in the gym or the car, I appreciate you too. Follow the show so you don't miss bonus episodes like this. And I will see you folks next week.